today. Up next, we have Deborah Shelton, who is the ACPMP Medical Liaison with the Appendix Cancer Research Foundation. She's going to be sharing an update today about our new patient registry. Deborah is also the caregiver to her spouse, who is an appendix cancer PMP patient as well. Thanks, Deborah.
Thanks, Lauren, very much. So I have 10 minutes. Let me just jump right in. Those of you that know me know I can talk a blue streak otherwise. As Lauren said, I'm going to be talking about the patient registry, which is one of the ACPMP's patient empowerment programs that we're very excited about. But before I do that, let me just take a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about who the ACPMP Research Foundation is, who we are, what we do. So we are a 501c3 charitable organization. And as some of you might have seen in between the cups of coffee over the break, we have a twofold mission. One is to support research to ultimately find a cure for ACPMP and related peritoneal surface malignancies. And the other, in addition to the research, is also to support educational symposia, as well as to support physician scholarships to ACPMP related medical conferences. And so, of course, any type of research and education, I should say our research is, the bulk of that is to support two $50,000 a year research grants related to ACPMP, kind of cutting edge research to help get us to that cure. And so when we're looking at that magnitude of support for research and that magnitude of support for education, that of course requires dollars. And so that's kind of the third leg of this three-legged stool, is fundraising. As you might have seen over the break, we recently this summer had our annual ACPMP Research Foundation walk, which we're very pleased with its success, raised over $90,000, and looking forward to repeating that again next summer. We also, through our patients and caregivers and other support, have folks that get out there and really do their own events, bake sales, golf tournaments, pub crawls, you name it, they do it, community event walks. And so we're very thankful to all of that support that is done on behalf of the ACPMP Research Foundation. We couldn't do what we do without those dollars. Okay, and this here is our current board of directors. We come from all walks of life. I always like to say that the one thing that we have in common is ACPMP. All of our board members are personally connected to ACPMP, either as survivors or caregivers. As Lauren said, I myself am the spouse of a patient with ACPMP who was just diagnosed 2 years ago. Here's our lean and mean group of staff members. We are proud to say that we are primarily almost all volunteer. One of our staff members is a salaried employee, and the rest of us do this out of passion and care for the mission, as does our paid staff member, of course, but the rest of us are volunteers. Okay. And this is ACPMP's kind of, I like to say, our secret weapon. We are proud that we have here a medical advisory board that helps us on the straight and narrow, helps us answer the tough questions, helps us keep to the mission with all of the significant expertise that they offer. And we have a diverse medical advisory board made up of oncologists, pathologists, surgical oncologists. And so we're very, very fortunate. These are our go-to people, and we just really benefit by having this sort of expertise at our fingertips. Okay, Patient Empower Initiative. I think that most of you are familiar with the four here that we have. The one I want to focus on for the next couple of minutes is the patient registry. And that is a collaborative effort between the ACPMP Research Foundation and NORD, the National Organization for Rare Disorders. NORD has a platform that we use. It's the I Am Rare platform. And what this is about is to study ACPMP. We can look at the next slide and kind of dive into a little bit more about really what is a patient registry, why are we doing it, you know, what is the problem that we're trying to solve, and how does that work? So in broad strokes, a patient registry is really a compilation of information that is collected from individual patients or their surrogates, their caregivers, sometimes in collaboration with those patients. And it includes the information that you see here on this slide. I'm not going to read it all, but it's basically the whole snapshot of that patient, that individual patient, their background, their medical history, their quality of life, their story. And this is important because patient registries can be a very powerful tool to help researchers and clinicians better understand ACPMP. We heard a lot today from our wonderful presenters about how much is known and that we're continuing to uncover, which is great and gives us all so much hope, but there's so much more that we need to understand. And so the patient registry really helps us to connect those dots. And so why? What am I talking about? What are some of those additional challenges in the ACPMP space that necessitate the need for this compilation of information in the registry? Well, as we've heard some about today, and as I think all of us recognize, there is still little known about the disease progression and burden of ACPMP. And it just makes sense that with any disease, the lower the prevalence, then the less understanding, the less knowledge that we have about the disease because of some of those challenges with getting the funding and getting the expertise to really dive in and solve some of these problems. So therefore, we have some great medical experts in the field, but compared to some other more common diseases, certainly far fewer. As a result of ACPMP being such a rare disease, we have some delays in diagnosis, not at all uncommon. We have limited treatment options still. Again, there's a lot of hope that we've been hearing about today, but nevertheless, still somewhat limited as we sit here. And we have high cost of care due to some of the comorbidities and some of those delays in diagnosis and other challenges. And then, as we all know, ACPMP is a heterogeneous disease. So what we end up with is small scattered patient populations. It's kind of individual data points without that larger snapshot. So the goals of the ACPMP patient registry survey are to help solve some of those challenges that I just summarized. So really to contribute to a better understanding of ACPMP, to help us assess patient and caregiver experiences and preferences. We heard Dr. Levine talk about this morning and the importance of that input to better inform patient care and best practices, to help those that are doing some of this cutting edge research continue to identify those research areas of interest and that can benefit all of us. And again, another goal of the registry is to provide a composite of the patient populations. You know, I used to say patient population, but again, this is a heterogeneous disease. We have, you know, lots of different types of appendix cancer, and then even within that, we have the different pathologies, different histologies, different behaviors we're seeing more and more, depending perhaps on things like age, race, ethnicity. So this provides us with more of a composite of some of those populations and subpopulations. On the payer side, this data can help evaluate the economic burden of this disease, which is tremendous. And so if we have this information, we would hope that we could get payers more on board with helping us solve some of these problems. And then last but not least, and an issue near and dear to my heart, is to inform drug development. I'm an FDA regulatory lawyer by day, and you know, the way this works is you really need a strong scientific foundation for any sort of drug development program. That's really the predicate. Drug development is a continuum. It's got to start with that foundation. Drug approval requires adequate and well-controlled trials. And again, those adequate and well-controlled trials cannot happen without the base scientific information. And so that's what this registry data is going to provide for us. Okay. Very quickly, just the venues, just to give you an idea of the places where some of this anonymized registry data will be shared. I want to emphasize this is de-identified data. It is not personally identifiable information, but this registry data will be shared in various venues, such as before FDA, when it's ripe, you know, in some of FDA's patient-focused drug development programs, at webinars such as this, medical conferences, you know, other patient-physician conferences, in publications, poster presentations at conferences, and with researchers that are working to collaborate. So the types of data that are going to be collected, this is all going to be an electronic database. Again, this is through the NORD IMRare platform. So it will be electronically input. And what we've done in designing the ACPMP patient registry is we have broken it out into 6 different modules on 6 different topics, so as to be as least burdensome on your time, patients and caregivers, as possible. And so you can go in and enter data. We've broken it out. We have very specific survey questions with drop-down menus to try to, again, make this as minimally burdensome and intuitive as possible. And you see our modules there. We have a demographics module, diagnosis questions, questions about your treatment, questions about your post-treatment monitoring, quality of life, and payer insurance coverage. Again, this is your voice, your experience, and so important for you to be able to have that voice and get that data in. I'm the principal investigator for this study, and my co-investigator there is our general counsel, COO, Carolyn Lewandowski, who I think most of you know. Okay. And so, you know, this database is only as good as the data coming in and the quality and quantity. So your input here is critical. You know, we can go over all of this again once it's rolled out, but did want to give a quick preview and let you know it's coming soon. In terms of timing, we expect a beta testing to probably be rolled out toward the end of this year. And our hope is to get the patient registry fully off the ground. And in any hands that would like to do this, it's all volunteer, it's all free. We hope to roll that out to you in first quarter 2021. So please stay tuned. You can get information through the ACPMP website, email, and/or other social media. All right, thank you very much.